it's Darren Emenau again, and we're basically going over the kiln here. Now with every kiln that you set up, you have to follow the regulations, so obviously follow the manual. You have to get an electrician to hook it up. You're dealing with really thick wiring, well ventilation, etc., etc. So what I'm doing here is just for the layperson, just to get a rough idea of what's going on. So the first thing, if you want to come down here and look at these two safety things, first of all, you should never trust these safety things. You never rely on them. Now, for this one here, there's a small cone that will be placed on the inside, and when this thing bends, this lever will fall, and this button will pop out, and essentially that'll shut the kiln off. Now, over here, you can set the hours, and this is kind of like a very long egg timer, and this will just count down, and when it gets to the bottom, it will shut off. But again, you only use that in case of an emergency. You should never ever leave these kilns because occasionally accidents do happen and things get overfired. Simple dials here. You usually start the kiln on low and you slowly increase the temperature. It takes about 8 to 10 hours. And the way you regulate the temperature is some of them have pyrometers, but I keep things very simple where there's different cones. These are pyrometric cones. These are made in a factory and they will bend at the actual piece of clay here will dip over, and you'll notice that, and that will bend at a certain temperature. And there's different ones. They go from cone 022 up to cone 13. And for this particular firing we're doing here, this is the very initial one. This is called the bisque firing. And what you're trying to do is drive the chemically combined water out of the clay. So you get your piece here. This is very dry and brittle. This was formed and air dried. And if you want it to accept a glaze, which is the glass coating, you bisque it to drive the chemically combined water out. That makes it very porous. And the glaze is in a solution, and the water will absorb into the clay body and leave a powder residue, and then you fire it again at a higher temperature, and that will bond that glaze to the actual clay surface. So for most potters, it takes 2 firings to complete it. And for the first firing, we're going to go to 1222 centigrade, and that's the bisque firing. And when you do the glaze firing, it's okay. So for this particular clay body, it's called cone 6 porcelain. It's not a true porcelain, but for argument's sake, that's what we're going to call it, because it comes out a very smooth white body, and it will be vitreous, which means it won't leak if you put water in it. It won't leach out of the actual body. And so, what I mentioned earlier, the bisque firing, this is the temperature you want to fire to. This is cone 08, and this is a box of 50 of these things here, and these things will bend at a certain temperature. And temperature, I always forget, it's 955 degrees centigrade. Potters always refer to 08, 06, and stuff like that. And for the glaze firing, you want to use cone 6, which is actually a lot higher. It's 1222 degrees centigrade. And again, you can see the diagram here. This is how it starts out, and then it bends. And essentially, when it's bent, that means you have reached that temperature. And if you look in here, this is where you would set the little teeny cone. So, okay, quickly come out to the outside. You lift this up. This here is the trigger. You push this trigger down, which will, from the inside here, it would lead this up, and then you set it like that. So when this thing melts, in theory, it will bend in half, and listen for the sound. This thing will fall, and it will trigger this thing to stop.
Can you show me once more how you set the cone in there? Just right here?
Yeah. You just set it up like that. It'll be flat on one side, the steep part's on the tip, and that's roughly it. I mean, and you know, this is a very crude way of doing it. So when you load the kiln, this work is very delicate. You can't pick it up on the edge because it will snap and break off. This is essentially just air dried clay. So if you can imagine picking up a very thin piece of mud that is dried, I don't want to do it, but you can just snap and crumble it. So you got to handle it very carefully. but you gotta stack all the work. Now for the bisque firing, what's nice is that there's no glaze involved, so the pieces can actually touch. And you essentially just have to have it that when the work shrinks, it's a little bit hard to explain, but you don't want to have a piece that's going to get wedged in there, like, because this bowl, if it shrinks down, and this mug, if it's jammed in there, something's going to break. So it's fine that these things are in here loose, because everything will shrink roughly the same proportion. And again, this could be packed a lot tighter. You could stack a few bowls on top, but again, if you have 3 or 4 bowls, just the weight of those bowls, because this clay is so fragile that it will probably break the bottom bowl. And so that's when you get into, you would fill this whole area in. You try to be as efficient as you can, because it's costs, I'm just gonna say like 20-30 bucks to fire this thing each time. And then you would set up these stilts, and it's always in a tripod fashion to keep it so it won't fall over. And then again, you would stack it up. And there's different size stilts depending what's going on. If you got a bunch of plates, you can stilt it up. You would close this up, and you would start on low, and then you would go through those earlier procedures. And that's essentially it, and we'll talk about the glaze firing in a minute.